done for remembering to record.
We are recording. We are live
recording. So hello everybody here. Yes, hello world. So thank you so much for agreeing to this next guinea pig. Right, so we're looking at coming from happiness today as a method of accelerating achievement of goals. So to give us some context to work within, can I please ask you, first of all, do you have a pen and paper to hand?
Yeah.
If not, we'll wait for a moment. And as you find those, can you just start to call to mind 3 goals that you might have? Now, these don't have to be any particular goals, except that what I would like to suggest is that you have a range. So one might be short term, one might be long term, one might be really significant, one might be relatively trivial, one might be personal, one might be about a team or a project or something that's bigger than you, so that you have a different variety of 3 different goals. And I'll just give you a moment to decide which goals you're going to focus on. That's lovely, Jen. Great, and it's up to you. You can share them if you like, but please don't feel you have to. I do like yours.
I need accountability for the course, so that's why I'm telling everyone.
Excellent.
Get my ass in gear because I've been procrastinating for about 6 months. I have to put it out there.
Well, it's very topical, I think, at the moment. A number of online courses being brewing in this group. Great, thank you. Can I just check, has everybody got at least 1 goal on their sheet? Yeah, you happy for us to move forward?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got an idea of the sorts of things we're trying to achieve. Now, in the work that I've done, a lot of the time I've realized that one of the biggest barriers to achievement has been emotional resistance in one form or another. Now, clearly, there are sometimes some very practical issues which stop us from achieving our goals. But what we're doing today is we're looking at where the barrier of emotional resistance is the thing that's getting in the way. Could you please raise your hand if you think there might be a bit of an emotional resistance issue around the one of your goals that you're going to start with? Lovely. Rachel, you're not raising your hand, no?
I don't think so, no. I don't think it's not an emotional resistance.
Cool.
I'm a little bit not quite sure. In
Okie dokie.
one of them maybe, but in the other two not.
Right, excellent. Okay, cool. All righty. So for some of us, that's the case, and for not all of us. So we'll see whether or not there is any emotional resistance and whether it does make a difference if we can come from happiness. That's what we're looking for. All right. Now, one of the things that's very often characterized our understanding of happiness is that we see, if you like, a deck of cards of emotions, and happiness seems to be just one of the deck, along with sadness, frustration, anxiety, panic, whatever else is in that deck. Happiness seems to be just one of a series of states that we might find ourselves in. Is that familiar as an experience? And part of our cultural legacy is that there so far has been very little to guide us away from that interpretation. But this work, if you like, the Great You, Simple You model, operates very much in the domain that recognizes happiness as completely separate from every other emotion. So we put happiness with love, intelligence, truth, beauty, and peace. So that's the place where happiness belongs, and everything else that might be an emotion, boredom, tolerance, anything that's, just a tiny bit sticky or very, very sticky, aggressive, rage, all of those are in that emotional spectrum that we're looking at as perhaps a state of disturbance under which happiness lives. So this principle really suggests that what is lying very, 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 very close to the surface of our emotion is this bedrock of happiness. And what's obscuring it is the content of the thought, the observation, the perception, the sensation that we're experiencing, whether we have a feeling about something, whether we're concerned about what we regard as a future event, whether we're concerned about what we regard as a past event, any memory or any imagination that's coming into play around the issue can very often bring that disturbance. And what it does is it clouds us from that bedrock of happiness. Does that make sense so far? Cool. So why is it really, really important that we come from happiness? Do you remember I've mentioned to some of you, and some of you have actually experienced my colour work. So the wonderful thing about colour is it bypasses the logical mind, which is always a very useful thing to do, because the logical mind can be quite a menace. And it can disrupt and tangle up all sorts of otherwise very healthy and creative processes. But that logical mind likes to grab hold of a set of beliefs and ideas, attitudes, and it digs into them and assumes that these are true and doesn't really question itself. And in those assumptions, there's a sense of limitation, and it's those self-imposed limits that keep us from fulfilling the fullness of what would otherwise be a very glowing potential. So I'd like you to take one of your challenges now, please. One of your goals. So choose one around which there is more resistance than the others, if you will, please. And the next step is to just find out how that feels to you. But rather than put that into words, I'd like you to just focus on the goal for a moment, close your eyes, and allow yourself to reflect on how you feel about achieving this goal. And as you do so, watch very carefully and see what colour comes to mind for you. So what colour is that feeling? Very much go with that feeling. And when you begin to have a sense of what that colour might be, please open your eyes. Okay, lovely. So please, who would like to share the colour of their feeling?
Mine is yellow.
Yellow. Can you tell us more about that yellow, please?
Yeah. Excuse me. It had kind of a grey around it. In fact, now I think about it, it's Tammy's brown colours. It was basically, it started off with some grey, but the yellow was then kind of penetrating through the grey. So it's kind of like a sunny yellow, kind of bright, pleasant yellow.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you, Sarah. Somebody else? Carola.
Mine is ice blue, a little bit like the TVR blue. It's very, very light, very icy blue, because I can see the difficulties of reaching this goal seems to be like a mountain, and I like to if I have the picture of a mountain in front of me, it's always ice blue, because I always consider it being cold and frosty and stuff, in a nice way, but still a mountain, and I'm not quite sure if I'm able to climb it.
Aha, great, thank you very much. And it is quite interesting. Sometimes there seems to be a little bit of a story with the colour as well, and that's all perfectly fine when that happens, so long as the colour comes from that feeling, because that's where we're stemming it from. Thank you. Who else?
I'm not sure
Claire.
if I've done it right.
Okay, let's go with Claire first, and then we'll come to you, Tammy.
I see like murky waters, like dark depth of sea, and I think it's purely because this goal, it's to complete an assignment, is just horrible to me. So all I see is that murky depths of water where you just feel like you can't see anything clearly.
Yeah, okay. Is there a physical sensation that goes with that feeling? Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
All righty, so that's really telling. Thank you very much. And that's when we know that the colour is really, really resonating from that feeling, from that emotion. Thank you. Tammy.
Well, actually similar to Claire, so maybe I have done it right. So mine was sort of like a sludgy brown colour, because it feels like I'm walking through treacle, which is similar analogy to Claire. So maybe I have got the right colour. I was hoping for a bright yellow, but no.
Well, thank you very much. And very, very often our colours do surprise us. So be prepared for that. It's quite natural. So yeah, thank you very much, Tammy. I think you probably are reflecting a genuine feeling there in the colour.
Were we meant to be imagining what it's going to feel like when we achieve it?
No, it's just how you feel right now.
Right.
I was the same, Rachel, because I had two colours. So I like the one of not achieving it was a really dark purple. So I was similar to a black, and then I visualized an orange, and funnily enough, I never really think of orange, so it was kind of like maybe I'm on fire when I achieve it. I don't know. But it was a warm orange, so it was kind of like step into that orange.
That's lovely. Well, that's where we're heading in a moment. So hold that thought. That's really great.
I don't know if I was doing it right, but I kept trying to make it pink. It wasn't pink. It was black. It was black. It was proper like black. And I kept thinking, no, this is a goal, and this makes me feel good. I want to make it pink. I was trying to make it cerise pink, and it wouldn't.
It wouldn't go. It would. Thank you so much. That's really, really significant, because what happens very often is we try very hard to change a situation that we're feeling, and honestly it can happen in tremendously subtle ways, and we don't always catch ourselves doing it. So this is a great way to expose that. So we try to change it from the inside, and very often we're defeated. by those efforts. So what happens, you know, a tuning fork, if you hit a tuning fork, it'll resonate to the sound of something that has exactly that very same frequency. And one of the incredibly useful things about color is it does the same. So each and every single color has its own frequency. And if you think of our emotions as our heartstrings, then they're going to operate on very, very different frequencies as well. Each one will be unique. So the information that we get from that color is incredibly important. It tells us exactly what's happening on an emotional level in a way that the mind could never get its head around, because the mind will try and justify things. It will try and think about its own interests. It won't want to get to the truth. It will want to get to the illusion it likes best. That's what it's good at. So leave the mind out of it. Let it get on with all of that creativity that it's supposed to be doing. But when you're looking at what's blocking you in your goal, it doesn't have a place. Tell it to shut up. Politely, otherwise it'll get cross with you and it'll turn me off. So, all righty. So we've had a look at where our feelings are at the moment. Now, what we also know from this work is that because of the 3 dimensions of the color, one gives us the position in terms of the amount of energy in the color. If you think about the electromagnetic spectrum, you've got very, very long waves down one end. Radio waves are enormous. They're like the slip road of a motorway. They're very, very big. Right down through light, out the other side to X-rays and then gamma rays, which are incredibly powerful, and you can split atoms with them. So we know that light is a powerful medium. What we don't appreciate so much is that color is essentially the essence of that, and therefore each color is quite a powerful medium for 2 things. One, communication. We know that from radio waves and X-rays. But also there's an efficacy around color which allows us to penetrate things to a deeper level than we would otherwise. And that's what's happening as the waves get more and more powerful. So we're looking at breaking down that light, and we know that the more energy it has will be the difference from the very root of red right up to ultraviolet. So going through that rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, and then an indigo, and then a violet. That kind of tendency means you're going from strong to powerful. But there's 2 other measures as well. One is the light reflection. So how much light there is very often around how much freedom that we have. And it's interesting, Carola, you're talking about a very light color there. And sometimes, and this has happened to me as well, really quite recently, when one of my goals, I was wondering why I wasn't making quite so much progress on one of my projects. And I had a look at the color and it was very, very pale. And I thought, oh, so, you know, I'm not stuck with the issue. It's almost as if the issue is out of reach. It's too airy. I can't grab hold of it. I can't solidify it.
That makes a lot of sense in
Yeah.
this.
Cool. So that may very well be a very similar thing that you and I are both experiencing around our relative goals there. But where the color is dark and it's not reflecting a lot of light, very often that means that we feel stuck and we're not really sure why. It's almost as if there's a barrier, there's something invisible. I think, Tammy, you said walking through treacle or walking uphill, and yourself as well, Claire, you were saying it's the bottom of the ocean and it's very, very dark and there's very little air, oxygen. So we don't have the freedom that we're looking for, particularly in those situations. And I think there was some grey and maybe some brown in yours, Sarah, as well, that you were telling us about.
Yeah, there was some grey. It was like the grey was engulfing the yellow at the beginning. Yeah, it was kind of like the grey was like, could engulf it.
Right. Thank you for that. And I'm sorry, from my computer screen, I'm losing you a little bit and you're coming and going a little. So apologies.
Is that me? Oh,
yes, sorry, yes.
Oh, right, okay.
So, but I think I got what you were saying.
That's our Wi-Fi. Okay.
So, but I will let you know if we're struggling again.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so that's, and the other thing, the other dimension of color is the intensity. So when we have a watery color, it doesn't have a lot of like really real, oh gosh, solidity to it. That low chroma means that it's something that we're failing to prioritize. We're not getting it on the list. It's not driving us. It's not totally dominating our thoughts. It's something we're trying to put away. Thank you very much. I don't really want to go there right now. We're not giving it the space that it's looking for. So does some of this information make sense around your goals? Okay. So
that's a bit scary because it's a big goal. So how can it be low chroma, or how?
Exactly. Great question. Great question. And it's really down to the good old, well, I have to introduce a little bit more about the model, the Great U, Simple U model. And this is Simple U. This is all of us have a Simple U. That's who we generally are. That's the one that's engaged in conversation with life. So if ever you want to know which one is, that's Simple You. The one who does all the creative stuff, who feels all the emotions, who gets bogged down with thoughts, that's Simple You. So Simple You is the one who is trying very, very hard to protect you. So all of its efforts really are geared into that survival. And that's what it's trying to do. It's saying, okay, I know this is an important, great big goal for you, but it's scary. We're not going to go there, thanks, because it's much more comfortable avoiding it. So that's really what might be driving that lack of priority. So does it sometimes feel like we're in two minds? We're trying very hard to get a result, but it's sort of like we're fighting against ourselves. Yeah. And sometimes this is really what's going on. So the good news is that Simple You isn't really who you are. Simple You is a fiction, is a fabrication of your own imagination. So what you've done, what Great You has done, and you are Great You, that's who you are. What you've done is very willingly and very lovingly, and this is where we come back to happiness and love and intelligence and peace and beauty. And that's Great You. And you have localized that consciousness into an identity called ... fill in the blank of your name. And in the creation of that character, you have identified a being who has a mind, has a body, has a history, has memories, has thoughts, but really all of that entity of Simple You is an amalgamation of ideas. So it's localized consciousness that masquerades as a person. Now, this might be a little bit out there for some of you. And by all means, we can chat a lot more about the model and how it works. Please don't feel worried about that element of it. But it's a way in this model of identifying the difference between Great You and Simple You, and how important it is to recognize that the only one who's living this life and engaged in conversation with life is Simple You. So if you want to go and meditate and sit under a tree and reach nirvana, you can let go of Simple You altogether. And it's easy. It's a lot easier than we might think. But it means you're kind of checking out on life to do that. If you want to live a life and you want to live a life fulfilled, you've got to recognize that Simple You has a part to play in it. But we carry around this almost dual identity. And we start to recognize that Simple you is the one that you know about. Simple you is the person that you see when you observe the you that you are having these emotional difficulties and challenges, having these preferences and goals and intentions. So you witness the person that you are, and the you who is the witness is great you. And that's the one who can hear these words right now. Great you, unlike simple you, is made of pure love. And the only condition that great you knows is complete happiness and complete joy. Great you is always at peace, never has a problem with anything, accepts everything that happens. Simple you doesn't. Simple you kicks up quite a fuss about all sorts of things that happen, because simple you is engaged in the content of life, whereas great you just has created the context of it. So what we're looking at in this, and the whole point about the book that I'm writing at the moment, is about how we can live a fulfilled life once we begin to understand our true nature. And it's about recognizing this goal that you've just been looking at is important to you. It's something that you want to achieve. It's one of the 3 things that you identified today that you're looking at. But to some extent, there's a challenge with it. There's an emotional challenge. What we're going to do now, and Jen has jumped ahead on this one a little bit, which is good, we're going to look at creating that as an experience in fulfillment. So this time I'd like you to revisit this goal, but I'd like you to imagine it's now 3 months hence from where we are now. Either your goal has been completed or it is on its way to being completed. And the only reason that it hasn't been is that the due date hasn't arrived. So if the due date has arrived, we've done it, well done. If the due date hasn't arrived, everything is in place for it to be completed. So please close your eyes again and find yourself at the place where it's there, it's done. And not only that, it's come out brilliantly. Everything is working perfectly for you. This is the result you wanted. This is the outcome. And the other thing is, it all happened so much more easily than you thought it would. There was a beautiful effortlessness to it. And it's come about, and I find that feeling. And as you feel that amazing feeling, find the color. What color is it telling you to look for? And when you found your color, please open your eyes. I think, Rachel, you were the first with your eyes open.
Oh God, what's wrong with me?
Is it still black?
No, it's white. Why is there no color?
That's amazing.
What's wrong?
That's amazing. Okay. Nothing wrong with you, my darling, at all. And it's just around this particular issue. And if we had the bag of colours there and we looked at lots of different issues, there would be a right rainbow, I promise you, in front of you. You'd pick out loads of colour.
I don't want black and white.
This white, that's amazing. So tell us a little bit more about this white. Can you see just a tiny hint of a hue in there, please?
No, it's pure.
Nothing.
Pure white. Pure white with a
pure
circle,
white.
with a circle in the middle of what it's going to look like.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing.
What does that
That's
mean?
incredible. So, well, to be honest, I don't know. I think it's telling us that you can only assume that it's very powerful if it's all colors. It's kind of, there's a sense of a laser concentration of color in there. Now, what we also know is it's reflecting 100% light, so you're completely free in your outcome. So is there something about this goal which makes you think for a moment, actually, when I get this, I will be free?
No, I think when it was black to begin with, I started thinking that it was black only because I hadn't planned how I was going to even achieve it yet. I haven't even started working on it. So it's there and it's big and it's, you know, huge.
Yeah.
But I haven't even started even making a plan. So I felt like it was black because there was no through road yet. Like there was nothing even laid out.
It makes sense.
Yeah, and then when I picture it white, it's just pure white. So I don't know if that means.
Well, that's beautiful.
I don't know what that means.
Maybe what you've done is you've projected yourself into the fulfillment of something which has a beautiful part to play in your life. But what we might need to do, if we're going to look more closely at this issue, is break that down just a little bit so that we can see which constituent parts are accessible to you along that process. And as we break it down, there might be different colors around different elements of that. And that'll give us a clue as to which way forward to move.
Mm.
We can do that privately sometime, Rachel, anytime you like.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you. Who else?
I had orange and yellow.
Oh, wow. Lovely. So were they distinctly two separate colors, or was it a blend of the two?
It was like a bit like what Sarah said earlier about the grey and like kind of poking through the yellow. It was almost like the orange was poking through the yellow. So it wasn't a blend of colors. It was like they were very two distinct colors, but they were like interjecting with each other.
That's lovely. In this particular goal, would it make sense that there maybe are two very, very close elements where there might be two elements to the achievement of it?
Possibly. So it's like I said, it's to complete an essay, and I think if I can complete it and pass it, I won't perhaps feel as stupid as I do right now. So maybe that's it, because I constantly feel stupid. So maybe there's an element of that. I don't know.
Well, what we know, when we look at the Eastern interpretations of color, we can reference the chakra system. And where you're talking about this, quite an interesting place, because it's a key distinction between below the level of control and above the level of control. So in the orange area, the issue is what it's telling you about its fulfillment and about its achievement is that this is about you just having fun. So it's encouraging you to enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process. Okay.
Enjoy the process. So look for those ways and those elements to it that are going to be rewarding, and you know, and that you're not so worried about the outcome. You just want to enjoy the process. And
I can get that. I think when I write, so I'm writing on childhood obesity, and like I find it fascinating just looking at how it's caused and how we can treat it, and I do enjoy that. I think it's the fear of getting the essay completely wrong that is more of the issue. So.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So to trust yourself, to follow that enjoyment, that is going to lead to your outcome. What you'll also find with the fact that the yellow is there as well is that something will feel like it's come into your control that isn't yet there. And that's going to be great to see happen as well. So all power to you, darling. Excellent. Jen, is your orange still there, or was it a different color?
It was still orange.
Excellent. Well, that's very much a similar result for yourself. The orange is about having fun.
To be honest, I did start it yesterday, the actual course. I've been procrastinating and it hasn't been so bad. And I think you just have these mindset blocks and you think it's going to be worse. And when I started it, I did the whole outline yesterday and I was doing it earlier on today and I wasn't one bit stressed. I was actually quite enjoying it. So I think there's just a lot of mindset blocks and you kind of fight with yourself.
Yes, indeed. And that's absolutely what we do. I totally agree. So great. All power to you as well. And what's going to be fabulous about that is you'll have your outcome. because it'll bring you forward on its own momentum. And if you just let that process happen, it's going to be very liberating. Fantastic. Who else?
Mine was baby pink, which isn't really a colour that I'm that into, but that's what it was.
How lovely! How lovely!
Yeah.
So we started with some sunshine
yellow
yellow
and grey, yeah.
with some grey
then,
there.
yeah.
And what you?
Well, yeah, the grey was the grey was disappearing, and the yellow was kind of more dominant over time, and then yeah. So then afterwards, baby pink.
That's really lovely. Now, pink is a slightly strange colour. There are two ways of looking at it. Firstly, it belongs in the red domain, which belongs in the root chakra. And that means that when we reference the red in the pink, what it's telling us is that this is part of our life support system. So Sarah, this is really important in your life, this particular issue. And it's something that if you can get this right, it's like a pillar that's going to hold up everything else. So it's one of those fundamental elements, which is all about you being able to do other things as well. So it's an enabler, it's a facilitator process. Does that make sense around that particular goal?
Yeah, it does.
Cool. That's good to know. Okay, so that's part of the element of pink. The other thing that pink does, which is a very strange thing, is it jumps. So pink jumps from the root chakra into the heart chakra, oddly enough, which is where it really resonates also with the green, remarkably, but it resonates with the vibration of generosity. So is there, and that's true for pink, not red. So when it's definitely on the pink spectrum, there'll be an element of generosity involved. Is that true for this particular challenge?
I don't know, actually.
Well,
maybe it's thinking about different. Because it's quite. I don't know, but I think there is an aspect there. But
that's the thing I would encourage you to look for is to what extent can you find room to be generous in this, and that will help you. It'll help you to bring about the result. And we're not going to be difficult for you because you are naturally always a very generous woman, and it's not surprising to me that one of your key liberating colors has that element to it. So cool. How lovely.
Thank you.
Tammy?
Mine went from sludge brown to bright green.
Oh wow, oh wow, I love a bright green. That's just fantastic. Bright green is generally well, for a start, that's totally in the heart chakra. So that's very much about moving from things being a basic need to things having fun to things being under control to now you've got to the point where you're sharing and you're giving. This is about you engaging with other people, and those relationships are going to be very important around your fulfillment. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, interestingly, because this goal is about increasing my sort of marketing reach and just getting on with it, and I've been procrastinating for ages.
Fantastic. So it's telling you to look at this as very much about a chance to make that contribution. And to remember that's what you're doing, and that's where people will get you, because they'll start to recognize, oh my God, look what she's doing for us, and that will become very, very significant to your market, to your audience. And the other lovely thing about a bright green, is it like an apple green?
Yeah, I sort of had in my mind a sort of summer grass.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's lovely. So that's got a very high chroma as well. So the chances are you're raising this on your agenda now. And and if you can hold that color, that happiness color for it, boy, that's going to project you. It really will. You'll be making a lot of space for that. Fantastic.
Thanks.
Carola, what's happened to your mountain?
Well, I think because I'm in the meantime quite familiar with the color process, because I mean, you know, I'm your biggest fan.
Oh, you love.
with all of that, and because I got a few wonderful colors already with me, around me, and I was tempted and go back to my favorite orange. Just to let you all know, I called this orange, I run around on the street hugging random people. That was that sort of orange. So obviously well before COVID-19, so no hugging happening anywhere. But I think in the end, because I thought I referred to that orange because I like it so much and I like so much what it stands for. But I think in the end, this one sort of turned into a more vibrant pink, more neon, in your face pink. So a little bit like your jumper, Claire, like the pink in your jumper or in these boxes behind you. Very, very bright, very, very pink.
Fantastic. So what you've done straight away there, Carola, is you've got you're reflecting less light, which is good, because the converse of freedom is structure. So sometimes, and this, Rachel, is something that's important around your goal. Right now, both the challenge and the achievement of your goal, Rachel, have no structure to them. So the challenge, because it doesn't have any definition, and the achievement because it's completely free. With Carola, you've gone from a state of higher freedom to less freedom, but you've come into the domain in which you can structure things and you can make them take a form that you can manage. So that, I know how much structure works in your life. So,
Really?
so that's going to be a marvelous strategy for you. Is just looking at how to put that structure there in a way that you like. And remember what we said to Sarah about pink having that dual function. Yes, it's the pillar on which the rest of your life will flourish. So remember, this is really important for you. But also remember to look for the generosity, where that can spark. Cool. So we've explored a little of how color can work for us in that acceleration process. But what's fundamental to that is that we have made a shift. We have visited Great U in order to find those colors. Great U is always there. That's the only person I'm talking to. And the other thing about Great U is there's only one of us. Which is another thing. So each apparent individual separate being that we can see on the screen in front of us is a fragment of Great U. And collectively, when we have those wonderful feelings of empathy that we have for other people, it's because that's another aspect of ourselves. So who we are is this universal consciousness, which is manifesting in so many beautiful different ways. And vive la différence, because that's what enables us to have a wonderful life and to fulfill that life. So that in essence is what the book Great U, Simple You is going to be exploring and talking about. But rather than looking at, and I've spoken before about Rupert Spira and how much I love his teachings, rather than looking at working towards an understanding of your true identity, which Rupert does brilliantly. So anybody who's interested, check out Rupert Spira. He's got a lot of wonderful work on YouTube and his own, and a website that's full of stuff that's worth exploring. My work says, okay, no matter whether you agree with this philosophy or not, you may be an ardent scientist and say, this is a whole load of crap. I'm not interested in anything whiffly or spiritual. And that's perfectly fine. If you believe in matter, go for it. So this will still work because it will allow you to recognize the difference between the one who gets het up and the one who is aware of that het upness. So Great You, Simple You works in any state of spiritual inquiry. But as I said before, it's about looking at fulfilling our potential as a living creative being, which is why Simple You is a really important part of how the book is operating. So having visited Great You, we then bring that color back into Simple You's life. And as Carol has said, I always encourage people to find a piece of something. And usually, if you know, in the good old days, we would have this lovely bag of ribbons, and from these I also keep lots of spares of all of these colors so that people can take away a small piece of ribbon of the color that's going to inspire them for their goal. And people have, oh, there we are, thank you. Carola has one in the back of her phone. That's lovely. And just bring these colors around you so that when you're working on that particular challenge, use that as an anchor, as a device. And anybody who's studied NLP will recognize the value of an anchor. But have it be there in a way that you can get creative as well. So think about nature, think about how it appears in nature and how you can bring that into your life. Photography, images, clothes, all sorts of things. Remember also that colors will change, but they will change gradually. Now, I had one person who struggled a lot with social anxiety. She didn't like to leave the house, and she was just very, very uncomfortable if she was anywhere other than home or work. She was quite fine at home, quite fine at work, but she didn't like being out in between. And we found for her there was a distinct color that she had around that concern. And then we found, and that's, by the way, I call that the conditional color. So that's the color of the condition that we're dealing with right now on that issue. And then we found for her what I call a destination color. So the destination color is where you're heading for the fulfillment. And what she did, and I've since advised all sorts of people to do, but it came from her. She closed her eyes and she started by observing her conditional color, and then she allowed it to evolve and blend, and it blended gradually into her destination color. And back to where you were saying, Rachel, you really wanted that black to be pink and it wouldn't go. This works when we have really got those colors nailed. So when we know what the colors are, then we can just watch them blend and make that transition, because we're not trying to make it happen. So in that particular case, if there is ever a feeling that you might have a discomfort, an unwillingness to be somewhere, whether it's a fear of public speaking or any particular concern in any situation, quick check, what's my conditional color? Take yourself away, come back from happiness, come from that happiness place, and imagine the fulfillment, imagine it beautiful, and it's absolutely flawless and effortless, and it's brought about. What that color is, that gives you your destination color, and then mentally see that transition. Bang. That's the moment that you step up onto the platform. That's the moment that you go to the place where you want to be in command and you want to achieve that result. So if you're taking an exam or anything, or a driving test or anything at all, entering a competition, have that destination color with you and watch the results. And my goodness, I'm sure you're going to see some wonderful things flourishing as a result. Any questions?
Amazing. So is this your book, Vanessa?
Well, The Great You, Simple You is the book that I'm working on right now. So it talks about the principles of the model, how these things have sort of come about in what I've been studying and where my research has taken me. And really hopes to sort of put together a kind of a summary. Oh, see you later.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Oh, thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye, everybody. Hope you have a better week.
Have fun tonight, Tammy.
I'll try.
Thanks for coming.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. So yeah, yes, it is. It's my book.
Are you going to do an audio book with it as well?
I'd love to. I'd love to.
I think you should.
Why? Do you?
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be great.
Your voice just brings it to life. Like, I'm not obviously saying your writing won't, and that people wouldn't be able to read it and feel the same, but I just think there's something lovely about your voice that would bring that all like so much tighter around somebody if they were listening to it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd love to do that. I will definitely work towards it.
You about it as a colour, Vanessa.
Yes.
The most amazing thing about this approach is, Vanessa, that you know how much I love it. And funnily enough, because I'm such a head person, I don't do fluffy things.
No.
And this is borderline fluffy. and it still works. And I mean, I think what's what's the best thing about it is that what you can still do it without having the colors actually there, because it still gives people enough. I mean, I would say it's probably still about 70% of what you could deliver in comparison to what you deliver if you actually had the colors all in front of you and you would pick exactly that and then you go through your book and with all the numbers and everything else, but the essence is still there.
Oh, thank you. That's really valuable feedback. Thank you.
Honestly, I think I was a little bit concerned because I didn't quite know what you're going to do today, and when you started with the colors, and I thought, oh, will that work? Because it's still, I don't know, it's so personal when I speak about pink, and if I don't know if you speak about pink or if Sarah speaks about her pink, it could be completely different. And
oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. As we know, we have so many different ones.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
And that's
with you were able to get it down to that point where it worked for each, and well, it worked for me. I can only speak for me, but I think you certainly got enough to walk away and say, okay, fine, yeah, that's really what it is about.
Thank you. And that's really, really appreciated. And I have to say that one thing that does slightly concern me is that writing about this is a challenge, because as I've always said, whenever we've had colour conversations with individuals or groups, this is about bypassing the logical mind. And the trouble with a book is it's talking to the logical mind. So it's quite difficult to know what the result will be if somebody is reading this.
I guess it's like anything, you know, what you've talked about for me has really resonated with what I've just learned on NLP. And actually, if I read a book about NLP, because someone asked me the other day about NLP training, they're like, can I just read a book on it? I'm like, well, you can always read a book about anything, and it gives you a really good foundation, but then it gives you more food for thought to then go and seek more.
Yes.
You know, because you always get more value through having that interaction and that training. But sometimes for some people, having the book and having that foundation is more beneficial than just going into a session, for example.
I agree. And one thing I would like to do with the book is I'd like not just to reach people who want to look at how to free themselves from some of the emotional resistance that would otherwise be blocking their path, but I'd also like to appeal to people who want to work with those people as clients. So to work with coaches and people who are looking for the chance to kind of just explore another dimension to their toolkit, really.
I wonder if in your book you could have, I don't know, like when you sell it, if you could have maybe a bookmark made out of coloured bits of ribbon, or like maybe swatches in the book with some coloured fabric, or so, I don't know, like just something to make it.
That's an interesting idea. And I did think at one point of packing up a little guidebook with a set of ribbons as a kind of like a gift set.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that, but what I also want to do with the book is I want to put something out there that could be downloadable and, you know, as an ebook as well as a physical one, as an audio book as well, as you were saying. And
But you can have inserts.
I was
In my head, sorry, Sarah.
okay, but
In my head, I can see a book like with inserts, you know, like with different colors on the inserts. But when I say inserts, I can't, it's like, you know how some books, they've got pictures in them, or they've got a bit of a harder bit in them, but it's in the book. It's not like a separate thing.
Yeah.
yes.
yeah, I guess because I was wondering something similar, and kind of like wondering like whether it could be an image of like the spectrum of colors. So if you're choosing a color, you're kind of almost running your finger up and down. You're just kind of like, right, it's there, and rather than separate colors. And you can even have the frequencies alongside them. So kind of like a, just a diagram really. But
yeah, possibly.
if you imagine like the visible light part of the spectrum, but.
I think you're right. I mean, at the moment, what's coming out in my writing is more of a storytelling. So it's really kind of discussing the approach and how the model came about, with a view to having that book be an introduction for people who would then like to do some actual work. And in a way, I mean, I don't know if this is right, but in a way, my approach has been have the book over here, do the coaching or the training or the workshops here, and maybe develop some more product once it's clear whether or not the audience is there. Because I don't really know. I don't know.
Yeah, so, I see what you mean. So the book isn't trying to kind of almost like run a session for the reader.
No, not really.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, so then, you might not need that.
I mean, the intention of the book is to establish an understanding of this distinction between the part of us that gets embroiled in mayhem and that struggles and gets depressed and gets worried. Because that's the part that does the most damage. And we can cripple ourselves, we can cause havoc in our relationships, we can do the most terrible things in our lives, and we can declare war on other countries and all sorts of things from an emotional state, which is potentially very, very bad for us, very unhealthy and very dangerous. And all the time not realize that none of that needs to be there. And that there's a way to actually, but not from within that. So when you're stuck in that problem, that mindset will not solve that problem, no matter how hard it tries. It's not equipped to do it. And the only way to do it is to recognize, actually, this isn't me. This isn't who I am. This isn't what I'm limited to. this is a perception that I've found myself locked inside of. All I've got to do is just let go for a moment, come back to who I really am, which is why the great you, simple you distinction is there to enable me to say, I've forgotten who I am. Right, now I come back to great you. Where does that leave me? What is it I'm trying to achieve? What would that be like if it happened, if it worked? Rather than, damn it, these idiots aren't doing what I want them to do. And all the time looking to blame something, even if I'm blaming myself through guilt, or whoever, or whatever circumstances.
I think it's a really interesting distinction, and really, and I see that, and so the color part of it is a way to access the great you.
Yes.
And so it's kind of, because the difficult bit when you're in the everybody's living in the simple you, how do we kind of take that step back and say, okay, what's almost kind of the better, the real me, or the higher version of me. And, so I think that's interesting.
So that's it. It's about recognizing that color can be a facilitator of the process of allowing us to move out of that conditional stricture. So that doesn't have to be my limit. That doesn't have to be the thing that stops me. And through color, I can find an alternative view. And that alternative view liberates me because it comes from a completely different emotional place, which allows me to access a different mental range of skills. So those work. I'm still simple you, because that's the only one that can execute things. That's the only one that can engage in the conversation of life. But I've visited great you in order to come there from a different direction.
I think it's great. I agree with what Rachel was saying about you and your voice and audio, because you are a lovely, calming person. And even when you're talking about, anything, I just feel calm listening to you. So I know a lot of books, they will have a link to a resource. So like an extra resource. So you could have some kind of special, go to my site, blah, 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 to do a kind of a color mini workshop with me, and then they'd either see you or hear you, and it'd be like an additional bonus. So I would definitely think you should do something like that. And I totally agree with like what Rachel said, and Sarah, I think it'd be lovely if you had the different threads of color, or at least a graphic, because I'm not very visual, but I think seeing that visual and the colors would make me kind of go, okay. And I think it would be something different if you had actually the ribbons. It will help. It'd be like a USP. I can't think of any other book that would have that. So I definitely think, we need color, and then we need your voice, or we need to see you, because I think that could lead to more coaching with you if you got them onto that other resource of you doing a guided thing, whatever. That's when they'll tap more into that. But because I think it will complement it, because the great thing about the book is you. But when you're reading the book, we're not going to see you or hear you. So I definitely think when you're selling it, you have to make videos, and we have to see you and hear you and get those ribbons up, and we have to hear your lovely voice, because the USP is you, really.
Oh, thank you, Jen. Thank you. You've all been very encouraging. Thank you very much, everybody.
When's the book out, Vanessa? When will we see the book? I know that's a pressure question. roughly. This year.
Do you mean 2021, next year?
Well, yeah. As in, not before Christmas. Yeah, my brain's already in 2021.
Hopefully 2021.
Yeah.
So it depends on. There's still a lot of work to do. And then once that first draft is complete, that's really just the beginning, and it's difficult to know. It's difficult to know how readily that's going to translate into publication. So it might have to go down a few rabbit warrens before it finds its eventual outlet. So hopefully next year, yes.
Very exciting.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Hello, Bridget. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Oh, you're on mute, Bridget.
Privilege.
I did unmute myself. So anyway, sorry. I was just popping in to say hello, see your lovely faces. I know it's finishing now. I should have joined in for Matt. I've achieved this afternoon, but that'll teach me.
How are you doing, Bridget? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. I got the thing that made me not all right a few weeks ago. I've got again at 5:30 today, which is this supervision training thing. So I'm going to do it a bit differently this time. I'm going to take the rest of the afternoon off now and have a bath and do some yoga. See if that sort of puts me in a better place for it. So.
Very good.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Excellent plan.
Yeah.
Oh, and have a fish finger sandwich.
Oh, no.
You know, I had a fish finger sandwich the other day at home. James came home with some, tiger bread, and that smells really bready and lovely. And I was like, I just fancy a fish finger sandwich with some tartar sauce in it. Bloody lovely. Really nice.
Tasty.
You won't want
Enjoy that, Bridget.
Very nice.
Have you
And
had a session?
Well,
Yeah,
I've
it
enjoyed
was.
it.
Yeah, it was really
I
good.
hope so.
It's really good, Vanessa.
Yeah, very good.
Fascinating. Totally just fascinating. Just like how the brain works, and just fascinating. Very, very.
It's recorded, Bridget, so don't worry that you missed it. She's recording it.
Yeah, I will definitely watch it. Yeah.
I'd be interested to watch it as well, please. I would love to, to see if there are bits I can pick up to improve on. So
Is there a way? I wonder if there's a way to watch it with Claire and Sally if they're going to watch it as well. I wonder if we can have like a watch party.
what a good idea.
Oh, yeah, you could do, because you could do the exercises that we did along the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Good
What do I do with the video then? Shall I?
what are your options with it, Rachel?
Well, I've saved it to my computer locally. As in it's not in the cloud. It's on my. It'll once we come off here, it'll download. It'll probably take about half an hour, and then I'll have an MP4 file. So if I email that out, because we've been on for 90 minutes, that'll probably be too much, and you won't be able to receive the file. So I could transfer it to you individually, or I could load it up to my YouTube channel as an unlisted, so nobody can find it.
Oh, that would be terrific if you
That
would.
would be terrific. I mean, my yoga teacher records the classes and then she sort of sends us some sort of link to Vimeo or you.
Yeah, a link I think will be the best thing. So if I shove it on my YouTube channel as unlisted, and then you can just watch it and play it from there.
Oh, Rachel, that would be really kind. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I'm taking some time off now to spend some time with Oliver, who's just come in from school, because I've got a 7:30 class tonight, so I'm just going to take some time off, and I might have a bath too.
Yeah, I don't normally have baths.
Sounds good.
That'd be a nice way to warm up.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
It's great.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa.
really, really good, Vanessa. What are
good to
we
see
doing
you.
next week? Are we on next week? We are, aren't we?
I think so.
We said we do.
think so.
Is that the 21st?
If we do the
22nd.
22nd.
Is it the 22nd? Whatever it is next
Or
month.
is it?
Do you say the 22nd Tuesday?
No,
That's the one in between Christmas and
Oh,
New
the
Year.
other one. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So-
Yeah.
No, it's the
Yeah, in
21st.
fact, that's my birthday on the 28th. So,
Oh, how
but yeah.
So that's
So the 21st next week.
so Monday next week.
Next afternoon.
We're the same as we normally are on Monday next week, which is the 21st.
Yeah.
And then the following week, which is Monday the 28th, we found out last week, well, I did for the first time, that was the official Boxing Day, which
Of course.
no, yeah, so your
It's
birthday
a weekend.
Day, Sarah.
That's great. It's always like it's always time off, which is really nice.
Yeah,
So between Christmas and New Year.
yeah,
Very
So
nice.
it's all that bit where nobody knows what day it is, and it's
yeah. Just
lovely.
pajama day every day. So yeah, we said we would do the Tuesday
Yeah, or outdoors.
instead, didn't we? The Tuesday, the 29th instead.
I've got training next week, so I will wish you all a very Merry Christmas.
Oh,
And
Oh yeah, have
lovely,
Christmas.
a lovely Christmas. Relax for whatever you end up doing.
Oh, thank you. And the very same to
Yeah.
you, Claire. Very happy Christmas.
yeah.
And you all.
Good luck with all your training. And it's so nice to catch up with you. We've missed you very much.
And you guys, I've missed you too. It's been a crazy time. It doesn't seem to be stopping, but it'll figure itself out eventually.
Very
Oh,
productive.
well done.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway,
I'm just delirious. This is all happening.
I don't know what's going on. It's a study. It's not really anything work business wise. It's all study. It's just
Investment.
Yeah.
it's a good way to look at it, because right now I'm just like, what the heck am I doing? But it's an investment for the future. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
That's true.
Well, thank you so much, ladies, for playing
thank you,
along
Vanessa.
today.
Thank you.
It's been so lovely. And
Thank you.
boatloads of love.
Yeah, take care, ladies. See you on Monday.
Yeah, have a lovely week.
Have fun.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.